So Mary Oliver said, be astonished. That is, go through life just blown away every day by everything and everyone that you encounter. Just see the miraculousness in everything. And don't try to be what everybody else wants you to be. E. Cummings once said, to be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best night and day to make you just like everybody else means to fight the greatest battle there is to fight and never stop fighting. Just to be yourself. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be happy. You don't have to be right. You don't have to win. You just have to be yourself. And who you are is so incredibly miraculous. So be astonished. And finally, she said, tell other people. So simple. 3 simple little things. Pay attention, be astonished, and tell other people. And that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm astonished that you're here. I'm thrilled that you actually pay to come and hear me speak. I have 8 kids. They don't listen to a thing I say. That's not true. But I'm honored every time I do this. Every time they put my name on something and a couple of thousand people show up. Every time someone asks me for an autograph or wants to have a picture taken, I'm just astonished. I'm thrilled. And that's been a fascinating journey for me, away from ego and into one of just appreciation for every moment and for the miracles that I know are awaiting all of you. If you can move into this higher place that I'll be speaking about here this evening. See, the problem, I believe, for most of us is that we were raised to be ordinary. And ordinary is here at this level, about my waist. And there's nothing wrong with ordinary. Dan Millman is here this weekend, I believe. He's here speaking, I know, tomorrow or Sunday. I saw his name on there. He's an old friend of mine. Known him for a couple of decades. He wrote a book on the way of the peaceful warrior and had this character in there named Socrates. He was telling his student that he had to go out and sit on a rock and sit there and stay there until he could come up with something that was important, a thought that was important. And he'd sit, and then Socrates would say something to him, and he would say, no, that's not important. No, that's not it. He sat there for a day or two. I don't remember all the details. I read it 20 years ago, but just thought of it in this moment. And finally, Socrates came out to him after he had been sitting there a whole day, and Dan said to him, there are no ordinary moments. And he said, you're free to get up. You finally come up with something important or significant to say, that there are no ordinary moments. Unfortunately, that word ordinary is something... And when I use the word ordinary, I'm not using it as a pejorative at all. I'm not using it as a negative. But most of us... And we had parents who were raised that way, and they had parents that were raised that way, and it goes way back. And we are not raised to understand our divinity, who we are. We're raised to believe that we're to become just like everyone else. So your job is to learn to walk and learn to talk and learn to master your alphabet and your mathematics and go to school and get good grades and get out of school and get on the honor roll if you can and go to college if you can, or if not, get a job. And stay at that job and work and have a family and raise your children and raise them to be respectful and do all of the things that are fine. They really are. Fill out the forms. And we all fill out the forms. And pay your taxes, follow the rules, and have children, then have grandchildren, and then you die. And that's a successful life. And that's basically a big story in our world. I want to speak to you tonight about something that I call extraordinary awareness, higher consciousness. It's something that I believe is accessible, something I know is possible for any of us to put our attention on what we intend to manifest and create for ourselves in our life and attract it, that the right people will show up, the right events will show up, the right timing will be there, and you have that capacity within you. Taking literally the words of Jesus, that even the least among you can do it all, just as I do. And I call this extraordinary awareness. Now, the thing about extraordinary awareness is that it encompasses ordinary. That if you're going to get here, you go through here. And I think at this point in my life, I'm living there in a very, very big way. Not better than anyone else. It's not about that at all. That I know that I'm not ordinary. I know who I am. And that means that I still fill out the forms. And I have 8 children, and I've made sure that they all are well taken care of and well provided for and given great guidance. And I'm proud of every single one of them. And I pay my taxes. Big time. I'm in that 1% that everybody's all pissed off about. Beyond that, beyond this ordinariness, is this distance between here and here. And in this distance between here and here, there is so much for you to become aware of and to practice and to live and to enjoy and to make a huge difference on this planet. And I think we as a people are going to have to do it. And that's why a gathering such as this is so important, because we've got to reverse it. I've just done a film called The Shift. It's a shift that I think really has to take place on a collective level. It's more than just individually changing our awareness and attracting into our lives what we would like to create for ourselves, becoming the people that we would like to be. It's making a real dynamic shift that we have to take responsibility for. I mean, today, a child being born in America has a shorter life expectancy than its parents. First time it's ever happened in our history. Ever. Imagine that. And the reason for that is not that we're going into reverse evolution. The reason for that is really basically three things. One, we've become a nation of addicts. Seriously. In the year 1970, one generation ago, there were 2 billion prescription tablets prescribed in America. 2 billion individual tablets prescribed in 1970. In 2007, a generation and a half or so later, that number is 113 billion. One generation. America is the only country other than New Zealand in the world that allows prescription drugs to be advertised on television. And our children and our teenagers and our young adults and you are being exposed every day to a literal conspiracy to get people addicted to the idea that they need to take a drug in order to get through their life, for whatever it might be. The fact is, I was with Christiane Northrup in Pasadena last weekend, and she was getting ready to go on. I don't know if you've ever heard Christiane. I've heard her on this stage. One of my favorite speakers, one of my favorite people in the world. And she was so excited about this thing that she just discovered, because she's always involved in some kind of crazy research. And she said, Wayne, you're not going to believe this. We've got the actual results with double-blind studies that people who grow their own vegetables and fruits in their own and tend to these fruits and tends to these vegetables and tend to the food that they are going to eat, that the plants themselves are able to produce whatever is missing in the person who is nurturing them in their food. So that if you have an immune system disorder, if you have a vitamin B12 shortage, or if you have some kind of chemical need that you have in your body, one of the things that the plants know, our symbiotic relationship to these things, these plants, is that if you show them love and care for them and all of that, that they will grow whatever it is that you need when you eat them. Isn't that great? Does that astound you? I mean, that just blows me away. But we're living in a culture right now that has just submitted to the FDA and to Congress and to the lobbyists in the pharmaceutical industry are trying to get shyness, and grief, and considered them to be social anxiety disorders, which we can now give a prescription to from children from the age of 7 on. We can give them these drugs, put them on for life. It's true. I'm telling you, it's happening. You see even ads for things very similar to that on television all the time. By the time they list all of the side effects, I always wonder, how would anybody ever would go to their doctor and say, give me some of that stuff. I know I might get a bleeding ulcer, and I know I might have I may have an erection for 4 hours, and I may have, there's 1,000 things that might possibly happen to you if you take them. But our airwaves, of course, are filled, aren't they? They're filled with ads to train young people. We're exposed on a daily basis every time they have the television set on. Even on the children's channels, there are commercials to get you to believe that you need some kind of a pill to take care of virtually anything that might be going on in your life, and becoming aware of it. I generally start out my talks by saying, I am well. I am perfect health. I am that. I am. That is my affirmation. That is how I live. That is how I breathe. That is how I believe. Now, in the book of Joel, there's a line that says, let the weak man say, I am strong. Now, one of the things that I want to leave you with here in the time that I have with you today is for you to become conscious of how you use this term, I am. I have a CD, along with my friend James Twyman, that is, what they did with this is, it comes from the Moses Code, which is a book I encourage you to look at, by James Twyman. And what they did is they took the sound in Hebrew of the letters that mean I am that I am. Supposedly this is what God said to Moses. And they have associated the sound with what those letters meant back 1,300 years before the birth of Christ, or 3,300 years ago, and come up with the sound. The sound is a meditation that I do every day. And what I recommend that you do, you want this, don't you? Oh, you have it? Oh, you have it. Great. All right, you got it. So what I encourage you to do in terms of manifesting, before I get into the principles, is to take out a piece of paper sometime when you're at home, and it sounds like a silly thing to do, but I want you to do it. I want you to write at the top of that page the word that, T-H-A-T, that, okay? And under that heading, whatever it is that you would like to attract or manifest into your life, I would like you to just write that down, all right? So if it's a job that you want, if it's a relationship that you want, if it's a healing that you want, if it's abundance that you want to attract into your life, whatever it is, just place it underneath that. And come to a place in your life where it is spoken about in the book of Romans, in the New Testament. He calls those things which do not exist as though they did. You must be able to get to this place in your life where you don't use the evidence of your senses, what your eyes tell you, what your ears tell you, what your stomach tells you, what you see written down, what the internet tells you. You want to be able to be in a place where you are living from the end as if what you would like to manifest is already there. To make a future dream, a present fact, you must assume the feeling of that wish as already being fulfilled. And the sounds that you will hear on track 2 and 3 of this meditation are the exact sounds of what those words were spoken back there 3,300 years ago. All I can say to you is that so many incredible miracles have manifested into my life since I began practicing this meditation. Who did I promise this to? Somebody? Yeah, there. Okay, stand up. Come on up. This is a gift to you. There you are. Enjoy it. God bless you. Yeah. So, this arrived in my home about a year before I started writing Wishes Fulfilled. And it's called the I Am Discourses. The I Am Discourses are, I think, one of the great spiritual texts on the planet today. You can pick it up, especially Volume 3. It's published by the Saint Germain Press. Saint Germain is, I believe, because I'm a student of Yogananda, and Sri Yukteswar, his teacher, who was born on the same day I was in only 1855 instead of 1940, like me. And they speak about this saint that is capable, who always keeps a young body. His name is Babaji. How many have heard the name Babaji? Yeah, this is an audience. I don't have to ask that. Saint Germain is Babaji, in my opinion. This is someone who shows up in a young body. And when you read Ascended Masters Training, The Unveiled Mysteries, The Magic Presence, and the I Am Discourses, which I have read all of them and studied them before I actually channeled Wishes Fulfilled. But let me just share with you just something here at the very beginning of it. This I can do without glasses. Life, in all its activities, everywhere manifest, is God in action. Remember what I said earlier, the life in your body is weightless, and it is God. It is what you originated from, it is what you will return to. It is where my mom is right now. And it is only through lack of the understanding of applied thought and feeling that mankind is constantly interrupting the pure flow of that perfect essence of life, which would, without interference, naturally express its perfection everywhere. Saint Germain has come to me. I feel as if I have spoken to him. And one of the things that I know from Saint Germain, from Babaji, is that it's only 1 in a million people who spend any amount of their time giving thanks to the I am presence that is your very essence, your being. Not giving thanks for all of the bounty that you have in your life and for your health and for all of the nice things, but to be in a state of gratitude for the awareness that who you are is this divine essence, this divine being. And when I do the meditation, one of the things that I say is I am in a state of continuous gratitude for the I am presence that speaks through my mouth and through my body and through my writing and so on. It's staying in constant contact with the awareness that there is something divine that is what I am.
You begin to change your thinking from appearances and how things look and how other people view me, okay? Because every time you find yourself upset in life about anything that anyone else has said, what you're really saying is what you think of me is more important than what I think of me, all right? So you change from appearances to what I call quality thinking. Quality. What is the quality of my life rather than how does it appear to others? Now, do you tell yourself that because my friends don't like me, that means there's something wrong with me? No, that's what you have to learn. That another person's opinion is just that. It's their opinion, and that's all it is. Every time you are upset, or your children are upset, because of what somebody else says about them, including their peers, what you are really saying in that moment, and this is really important, what you're saying is, what you think of me is more important than what I think of myself. And you must never give anybody that kind of power and control over you, because they will always have it. The funny part about approval, for those of you who really want it, now I'm here to tell you that I like approval. I enjoy it. I find it one of the most exciting things in the world. I like it when people read my books. I love it when people applaud. I like it when people tell me nice things and all. I like approval. I'm the first one to admit it. What I don't do is I don't need approval. There's a big difference between wanting approval and needing approval. When you need approval, it means you become immobilized when you don't get it, from making other people's opinions more important. Now, for those of you who say, yeah, but I want approval and I need it, and if I don't get it, and so on, then understand this. The people who get the most approval in life are the ones who care the least about it. And the ones who get the least approval are the ones who are always going after it. So if you want approval in this paradoxical way that I'm talking about it, stop needing it. Stop concerning yourself about it. Ask yourself, who gets the most approval in life? Think of the person that gets the most approval, and you'll see that that person couldn't care less what other people are thinking. They're so busy being, they don't have time to notice what their neighbors are doing. Thoreau said this. He said, if you advance confidently in the direction of your own dreams and endeavor to live the life which you have imagined, you will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. What that means is that success is not something that you can get in life. Success is an inner process. Success is something that you bring to everything you do in your life. It isn't something you get out of what you do. And when you get that, and you learn how to get the junk out, and advance confidently, doing what makes the most amount of sense to you based on your inner signals and the one issue of morality, which is you never interfere with anybody else's right to do the same. Each person has their own right to advance confidently in the direction of their own dreams. And when you violate that, you're violating the principle of the universe, the essence of the universe, which is cooperation and harmony. Then success will begin to chase you. And it will come into your life and arrive in your life in amounts that you never dreamt of before. That you never dreamt of. Things will start happening to you that you would never imagine before. I'm working on a book right now that's going to be called You'll See It When You Believe It. And when you start believing in some of these principles, you'll start seeing things that you were blind to for so long. When you were back here in the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5, when you were moving away from yourself, as long as you're moving back towards your universal essence, your harmony with yourself, your cooperation with the rest, things will start happening in ways that you never dreamt of. Jung called it synchronicity. And it's a term that we use to explain how unexplainable coincidences sort of happen in our life. And how come these things happen? I'm going to share a couple of those with you before we leave. The quality versus appearance in your life means that you get that inner candle flame working in a way that gives you quality, independent of what other people think of you. Maslow, in defining self-actualizing, no-limit people, said they are independent of the good opinion of other people. Of the good opinion of other people. Independent of it. They're so busy advancing confidently, doing the things that make sense, and bringing success to changing their baby's diaper, and bringing success to weeding their garden, and bringing it to the job. They bring it on the airplane so that when they run into somebody who is rude to them, a stewardess that is rude, they don't see it as an attack on them. It's just where they are, and they send them love. Help them a little bit, you know? They're kind. When somebody wants to get in on the freeway, and they're one old temptation when they were on the 1 to the 6 side was to say, oh yeah, nobody's getting in front of me, I'm getting there first. It's like, they slow down a little bit. They don't have all that type A stuff of having to beat somebody else and having to defeat somebody. It's a new way of being. It's a way of quality where your harmony allows you to cooperate, and you are a part of what this whole thing is about. New way of being, quality rather than appearances. Another new way of being, very important. Living your life on ethics rather than rules. Ethics rather than rules. All these rules, all these ways of having to do things, somebody else dictates to them. Do you know that some of the most immoral acts in the world have been perpetrated in the name of the rules? These are the laws. What do you think Nazi Germany was all about? Everybody doing all these horrible things to other people. I'm only doing my job, was the defense we all heard at Nuremberg. I was just doing my job. If it's an immoral rule, it's immoral to obey it. And self-actualizing people, as Maslow tells us, have rules inside of them that they could never obey, never disobey, ever. And they have to do with ethics, how you treat people. How do you think we get to where we are now? You know who Rosa Parks was? The woman in the South, the black woman in the South who said, not today, I'm not going to the back today, no way. I know what the rules are. The rules were all over the place. If you needed a reminder, there were signs every place, colored in the back, white in the front. And she said, no, I'm sitting here. And that made all the difference. Ethics, not rules. When your children start disobeying rules that need to be disobeyed, don't be surprised.